開始會議。
All right, I think we can start. Agenda item number 1, confirmation of minutes. We haven't received proposals for amendments, so the minutes are confirmed. Thank you. Item 2, the approved development plan of the West Kowloon Cultural District. So please invite the administration in.
今日出席嘅呢就有
We have with us Mr. Wenman Leung, Project Manager, Home Affairs Bureau, Mr. Michael Lynch, CEO, WKCD Authority, and also Mr. Louis Yu, Executive Director, Performing Arts, and also Dr. Chen Man-wai, Executive Director, Project Delivery. Welcome.
Are
you ready? So welcome to our meeting. May I invite Mr. Wenman Leung from the Home Affairs Bureau to say a few words to us. Yes, Chairman. Concerning the development plan of the WKCDA, in fact, we gave a briefing to members before we went to the Town Planning Board. And in January this year, the CE in Council approved the development plan in accordance with the Town Planning Ordinance. So the authority will press ahead with the development of the district concerning the Xiqu Centre and M+ the design process has been kicked off. And today we'll give members a briefing on the status of the development plan as well as the implementation progress of the DP. May I now invite Mr. Lynch to take members through a PowerPoint presentation. Yes, Mr. Lynch.
Chairman, congratulations to Mr. Chairman and Mr. Deputy Chairman on your appointments and to the new members of the committee, and we look forward to close engagement over the course of the coming year. It's an exciting year. We're very pleased to have had the sign-off of the development plan by the Chief Executive in Council a couple of weeks ago, which now provides us with the ability to move the project forward. Clearly we're doing that in parallel with major developments on the development of the park, the development of the Xiqu Centre and the development of M+, which we'll come back and talk about at another point. I really now think we should deal with the details, so I've asked Dr. Chan to take you through a presentation which hopefully will bring out the key points, and then we're very happy to engage in any further discussion. Dr. Chan.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch. Chairman, members. So I will very briefly take members through the development plan, or the DP. As members are aware, the authority prepared the DP in accordance with the ordinance. On the 4th of March 2011, the authority selected the conceptual plan City Park designed by Foster and Partners as the preferred option for WKCD development. And then the authority submitted the DP to the Town Planning Board on the 30th of December 2011 in accordance with the ordinance, in other words, the WKCDA ordinance. Deemed as suitable for publication by the Town Planning Board, the draft DP was gazetted under the provisions of the Town Planning Ordinance on the 30th of March last year. And on 28th of September 2012, Upon completion of the consideration of the representations and comments, the board decided not to uphold any of the representations to the DP. And on the 8th of January this year, the CN Council, under Section 91A of the Town Planning Ordinance, approved the draft WKCD DP. And now I will brief members on the content of the DP. I believe members have already got the approved DP. So you can see the uses of the various plots of land. Now, the DP is based on Foster and Partners Conceptual Plan City Park. So we follow the key planning parameters in the Southwest Kowloon OZP, and the key planning parameters are as follows: maximum plot ratio 1.81, provision of not less than 23 hectares of public open space, and the 23 hectares include 3 hectares of piazza areas and a waterfront promenade of not less than 20 meters in width. So apart from the park, we will also have piazza areas and a waterfront promenade. And then the next key parameter is residential development of not more than 20% of the total plot ratio. This is the ceiling. This is the cap. Then maximum building height of 50, 70, and 100 MPD. 100 MPD is in the middle part, behind ICC. So near ICC is 100 MPD, and then in the other areas 50 and 70 MPD. And the approved DP covers a total area of 40.91 hectares. So this is the total area. And then 17.23 hectares of land is zoned to open space. And we have O1. The open space is provided in the form of a park by the waterfront with arts and cultural facilities and a continuous waterfront promenade. And then O2, piazza, squares, and a vehicle-free tree-lined avenue with arts, cultural, RDE uses to create a vibrant atmosphere along the avenue. So in fact, they are marked O1 and O2 on the DP. And then we have other uses, 23.68 hectares. Other uses or as other specified uses, there are 2 OU zones. One, arts, cultural, entertainment, and commercial uses, primarily intended for the provision of arts and cultural facilities supported by a wide range of mixed office, hotel, retail, dining, recreational, and entertainment uses. So in fact, these are the red plots. And as this is based on the Foster design, there is integration between arts and cultural uses and other uses. In fact, Foster said that this is going to be Hong Kong's urban DNA. And then OU, mixed uses, intended for mixed arts, cultural, commercial, including hotel and office, residential, recreational, and entertainment developments to create vibrancy for the WKCD. So you can see that as a mixed use concept. And as to integration with neighboring areas, you can see from this plan, pedestrian access to the cultural district. And you can also see transportation links. We have the express rail link, the Austin Road Station, the Kowloon Station, the Old Yau Ma Tei District. Then you see subways, footbridges, and then from here to the express rail link at the platform level, because this part of Austrian Road will be submerged, so there will be a very big piazza or platform, and as a result you can reach the central square from the express rail station at the same level. And then here we have direct link to Austin Station underground, and then we hope that there will be a footbridge leading to Kowloon Park, and then China Ferry Terminal. Again, there will be a direct connection, and then the Arthur Square. So there will be a footbridge linking directly to the elements, and then open space. How we calculate open space, total not less than 23 hectares, and then the green parts about 17.23 open space zone, and then we have open space on the different plots. So the open space may not be at the same level. There may be open space at the platform level. So altogether, not less than 23 hectares of open space in total. So how are we going to proceed? So there will be a consultancy study to continue to pursue the Foster concept plan. You see here the major arts and cultural facilities, residential development, office development, and other facilities. So how are we going to implement the integrated design as envisaged in the Foster concept plan? We're going to have a consultancy study. So we're now proceeding with the design of the park and the Xiqu Centre. In fact, for the Xiqu Centre, construction works will start soon. And then M+, the design competition is underway, and we hope to be able to select the best design in the middle of the year. And then we can commence construction works as soon as possible. And to support the future soft landscaping works of the park, a tree nursery will be constructed very soon. And then site investigation, underground utility diversion, and site preparation works and other advanced works are underway. Thank you very much.
Okay. So.
Any other supplements? If not, now it's time for Q&A. The first round, please raise your hands, those who want to ask questions. Those who've raised their hands include Mu Manching and a few others. Each one of you will have 4 minutes. Claudia Mo first. I have a question that's not related to the plan, but for the Art Square in English, it's called Artist Square, not Xiqu Square. But for Xiqu Centre and Xiqu Square, it seems that you insist on using the word Xiqu. Xiqu Centre, Xiqu Square. I remember there's this issue about the naming. And Hong Kong media, Ms. Mo, I think we can discuss it later, in the next item. But still, I find it surprising, because now you talk about the overall planning. Why there's improper naming, improper translation are still there? Well, please leave it to the next item. Well, I have another meeting. I need to leave soon, so I want to ask this question first. So any other questions? No? 4 minutes, yes. Okay. Answer.
We will be dealing with the whole Xiqu issue in the second part, but I'm happy to answer your question. We've been using the word Xiqu Centre for the last 6 years, it's only in the last 6 weeks, I think, that there's been any issue raised about it. There was no issue raised during the public engagement exercises. We regard all of the titles, and certainly any of the titles on the maps, as very much working titles, but from our point of view, until we see a compelling reason to change Xiqu Square or Xiqu Centre, we would hold
I think
with that title.
there might be some misunderstanding. I'm talking about Xiqu, which to me should be a Chinese opera instead of Xiqu, not Yishu.
Well, perhaps I better hand that to one of the people who can deal with the issues there. Mr. Lewis, you could perhaps answer the question because he's been involved in the project for the last 3 years. Lewis.
如果了。
係 Xiqu Centre 嘅英文 This Xiqu Centre, this English name was proposed by a committee in 2006, and that committee was under the government's consultancy committee on tourism and advisory committee, and the committee was set up to consult the view of the sector, and the relevant committee thought that there should be a Xiqu Centre in the West Kowloon district. We did discuss the English name of the centre, and the committee then considered that because in Hong Kong there are 3 representative organizations with 3 different translations. For example, LCSD, they use the word Chinese opera to describe Xiqu. Academy for Performing Arts use Chinese traditional theatre as the name. So there's no Chinese opera per se in the Academy for Performing Arts. Hong Kong Arts Development Council at the time used Xiqu, Xiqu. The sector considered, through the committee considered that they would opt for the term Xiqu. This is not a new invention. Over the 30 years, the academic field has been using Xiqu to avoid confusion between Chinese opera and other Western operas that are delivered in Chinese. Therefore, all the way through our 3 rounds of public consultations, we've used the word Xiqu. Remember, you told the media that Xiqu is not the final title, but 似乎而家
我諗時間夠啦，我諗呢個。
Can you tell me, is it yes or no? Well, we'll adopt an open attitude. Okay, so this is not something final, anyway. Okay, and we'll still discuss this title issue in the second item. So let's now concentrate on the development plan. So you may have to come back to this meeting again halfway through your other meeting later on. You're always welcome to come back to this room later on. Next one, Chair Lai Wan. Chairman, I'd like to ask about the transportation. In Jordan, some residents there told me that they don't know in the future from Jordan how they can get across to the West Kowloon area in the future. They think that they may have to walk up a footbridge and then come down, and they may have to go through a mall before they can reach the district. So that's why maybe I'd like to ask about, from Jordan, people coming from Jordan to the open space, how are they going to get there? Yes, from the old district, how are they going to get to the district? Chairman, I'll try to answer this. I know that the Transport Department now is carrying out a pedestrian study, a rather comprehensive study. I think it's near completion. And before the study is completed, I'll try to give you an answer. I think based on our design, within our own area we have various developments, but we do want to increase pedestrian flow into the West Kowloon district. So if you look at the plan here, this location is the Xiqu Square to the northeastern tip. Jordan is right over there. How are they going to get to the spare from the Jordan. Actually, under the square there will be a tunnelway connecting it with Austin Station. There's a breakout there. So there's an underground passageway. In fact, the design of the Xiqu is done in such a way that there is a direct link between it and the MTR station. How about above ground at this location? Between Austin and Canton Road, there's a tunnel there. I don't know whether you're familiar with this location. There's a tunnel there directly connecting it with the other end of the east side of Canton Road. So how can we go to Jordan Road? I think above Austin Station, we are planning to have an acoustic desk above Austin Station. So if there's a need for a good connection, then I think the acoustic deck can be turned into a pedestrian passageway as well. So further up there, Jordan Road, I think the design will include a footbridge to link the area with a small park in Jordan. So in the future, this section will be very, very actually well connected to the cultural district, the eastern side of the district. We're also thinking how we can improve the transportation link in this area, using environmental friendly transportation, so that we can have the environmental friendly transportation even extended beyond this cultural district. There could be shuttle buses and so forth. Dr. Chen, yes. I'd like you to take note that, residents who live there, they care most that they wouldn't want to have to go up and down footbridges to get to the cultural district. They want to have a more direct passageway. And also the residents ask whether they have to go through a mall to get to the district. Please take note of that. They don't want to go through the mall. Thank you. Next one, Chen Yunhan. In my last term in LegCo, West Kowloon was a big issue. I was a member then. There was much discussion on it. The 14-hectare site is such a beautiful site, and yet it's surrounded by some poor districts. So how can we set up an area that's accessible to all in Hong Kong? So for the planning itself, I think it's not just about planning of the 40-hectare site, but also it should involve linkages to surrounding areas. The former Deputy Director of Planning agreed with our view. Just then when I was listening to your presentation, when you answered Ms. Zhang's question as well, I think you haven't given a full answer. You said you might provide shuttle buses. I don't think we want shuttle buses because, if you can integrate the district with Jordan, then the whole area around Canton Road will be flourishing. But if you use shuttle buses, then it would add to the air pollution. So, Dr. Chen, you need to actually make yourself informed of the discussions in the last LegCo term. I stress that we need to have more linkages to allow people to go to Jordan by foot, not shuttle bus. And also, near the waterfront, you said, I want to ask you about whether all the areas facing Victoria Harbour will be areas of greenery. I hope there will be even 13 hectares of greenery site. Okay, all these green areas surrounding the district. Just then you said there would be some kinds of fencing, but I don't quite understand your design. Can you explain more on that, on your design for the area, the green areas?
Thank you for the question. I'll deal with the first part of it. I guess there's two important principles. There's three principles that underpin the whole design of the project, which we've taken through all of the stages of public engagement. One is the concept of sustainability, both in an economic but in an environmental sense. That's incredibly important to us. It's being now put into practice through the designs chosen for the individual buildings, the designs for the park, and all of the engineering and infrastructure. The second basic principle is connectivity, and although there are no cars on the actual site, which was a decision made when the concept plan of Foster's was chosen, we are very conscious, in particular I am, of the issues of how you get to the site, how you get around the site, how you ensure that the young, the old, get around the site and get to the site in a protected way. And the third concept on which the whole plan is developed is accessibility. And it's not just accessibility for old people like me or people with specific disabilities. It actually, it's best characterised, I think, in the slogan that we have for West Kowloon, which is a place for everyone. So we have predicated the whole planning of the site as being both relevant to people who want to just come and enjoy the park and or the 23 hectares of green space, people who want to actually participate in terms of going to performances within the buildings, performances outside the buildings. We have a 10,000 person space in the park which is there for the general public to be able to participate in events like the events, the one that was held there yesterday, the Poon Choi event for 26,000 people, and the other big festival events that we've had. So I'll hand over to Dr. Chan to deal with the second part of the question.
Second round. Okay, next question. Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Liang. Okay. My question is, when I look at the Chief Executive in Council's approved plan, basically, I know they use development parameters like plot ratio and the reservation of open space that are put down in exact figures. But I'd like to know the plan itself and its annotations. If there were to be amendments, what kinds of procedures will be required? And also, in paragraph 12 of the paper submitted by the authority, it says that there will be a consultancy study before a proper planning method is provided, before a development approach is determined. You know that you need to have actual planning. So my question is, your consultancy study, how many rounds or how much public engagement or participation will there be, and how will LegCo be involved in the consultancy study? What will be the steps like?
I think I can answer the first question. The development plan was submitted to the Town Planning Board in accordance with the Town Planning Ordinance. And when the WKCDA ordinance was enacted, a requirement was laid down, and that was for the authority to prepare the DP. Please speak into the mic. We can't hear you. I'm sorry. So the authority prepared the draft plan. Its responsibility has been completed. Any future changes will be made in accordance with the Town Planning Ordinance. So in other words, this plan can be changed or amended in the future. Is that right? Under the Town Planning Ordinance, Chairman, amendments can be put forward in accordance with the procedures laid down in the ordinance. So what are the procedures? What are the steps? Chairman, the draft plan was made in accordance with the Southwest Kowloon OEZP. So the draft plan has taken into account all the constraints, requirements in the OEZP. For example, plot ratio 1.81. Now, usually the OEZP controls all the planning parameters, but then this draft plan or development plan is even more detailed. You can see all the restrictions, all the parameters in the individual plots of land. But still, under the town planning ordinance, this plan is still a plan formulated under the town planning ordinance. So all the procedures will be in accordance with the town planning ordinance. The second question, I think Dr. Chen can answer the second question. Yes, perhaps I can say something about the consultancy study. Now you can see integration is a very important element in the Foster Plan. And so the consultancy study will look at how integration can be achieved technically. In other words, how the plots of land should be sold, how the land issues are to be resolved, what the program should be, the timing of the program, the financial aspects. I think I want to know whether LegCo can have a say, whether the public can have a say, the role played by LegCo, role played by the public, and also the timetable. I'll queue up again. Yes, Mr. Tony Chair. Chairman, about 2 years ago, the authority decided to adopt the city park theme put forward by Foster and Partners. My question is similar to that raised by the Deputy Chairman. I would also like to refer to para 12 of the paper, para 12. I want to know more about this consultancy study, the timing, the timetable. And also, I want to know the function of this consultancy study, at the timetable, and whether it's going to affect what you are doing at the moment. Yes, Chairman, perhaps members can refer to this plan, and you'll understand why we need this consultancy study. Now, in the east, we have the Xiqu Centre. In the west, the M+ Museum. And then this is going to be a park. And under the Foster Concept Plan, the most integrated part is this part. This part. And integration of the express rail link, this part. So the study will concentrate on this middle part. So many buildings, so many developments, how they can be integrated. And then concerning the impact on the entire program, why is it that we can work on these areas first? These are called stand-alone projects. And then in the middle, this part, this will be related to the express rail link, because for the express rail link, we can work on the superstructure only in 2015, 2016, but then we are already talking to the express rail link concerning superstructure in future. And concerning this part, we can really buy some time, so to speak, because concerning the development here, the buildings here, they will be towards the end of phase 1. Chairman, I want to know about the timetable. When will this consultancy study start? When will it be completed? And as the Deputy Chairman has asked, do we have a say? The role played by LegCo and the public.
The consultancy study is a study that's been mandated by the board to go forward. It will happen over the course of this year, and it recognises essentially that issue that 5 levels below the ground on a substantial proportion of the site is the railway station, the new railway station, and clearly how we put that together around the proposed buildings is critical. And this study will look at the integration of the cultural facilities, the railway, the basement, the infrastructure, and then the pieces of residential and office development and RDE development. We hope to have that study completed by the end of this year. We believe it's probably one of the more critical pieces of work, and I would assume the outcomes of that study would be something that we would discuss when it, either as it develops over the course of the year or early next year. We envisage it as a way of making sure that all of the issues on this complicated site are dealt with, and that we can really make sure that as we make the decisions going forward beyond the standalone buildings, that we have the best possible solutions for the project.
OK，唔該晒嚇。咁下一位馬逢國。
Mr. Ma Fong-kwok. I need to declare interest first, Chairman. I'm a member of the board of the WKCDA. Concerning the overall planning, in the past few years, in fact, before the setting up of the authority, I personally gave my views on the plot ratio of 1.81. This is a very precious piece of land. 1.81 is really a luxury. And then when the authority was set up, I said that the plot ratio should be reviewed and could be reviewed. Now, in fact, the arts and cultural sector wants to place more facilities in the cultural district. And concerning the 21.6 billion, in fact, this amount is not enough. And with regard to this city park concept, the sector is worried that the vibrancy and the flow of people in the district will be affected. And also, we know there is not enough land. The new term of this new term of government is trying various ways and means to try to get hold of more land. So I think the plot ratio should be reviewed. Now, in the authority on the board, I made this suggestion, but my suggestion was not supported. So can I ask the administration whether it will review the plot ratio, maximum plot ratio of 1.81? Can you consider increasing it to 3? Now, 1.81 is, I think, just a magic figure. No one can explain why it's 1.81 and not 1.82 and not 2 and not 3. In my view, 3 is appropriate because on the average in Kowloon, the plot ratio, maximum plot ratio is 7. So why is it that you can't review this plot ratio? Who can answer this question?
I respected board member, it's not up for me to determine what the plot ratio is. I've been given the constraints handed down in the choosing of the concept plan and now in the development plan approval by the CE. Clearly, I think any discussion around that would involve the board, but I assume it would also involve the planning authorities. I suppose the issue from the management's perspective is that we are anxious, bearing in mind the 15 years of delays on this project, to be able to continue forward on the timetable that we've outlined in public discussion. I recognise the sensitivities around it, but I also recognise that the project was meant to be a very different project to the surrounding areas, and the determination of height limits on the buildings of 50, 70 and 100 metres and the plot ratio were very much key determinants in making sure the balance between the public space, the commercial space and the cultural space was there. So I assume that any issue around that will be discussed further at the board level. I think it's inappropriate for management to be proposing at this point any changes to that are likely to have significant long-term implications on the timeline for the project, which inevitably then has financial implications on the project.
OK。
其實我局裏邊嘅情況。
Now, I of course understand the sentiments in the authority, in the board. I just want to put this on record. I just want to know why this can't be done. All right, perhaps you can ask the administration this question when you have the chance. Ms. Helena Wong. Chairman, thank you. No. concerning the plot ratio, I just want to ask whether we will have tall buildings on the site with creating a walled effect, because I'm worried that there will be only very narrow gaps between buildings. So I'm worried about airflow and ventilation and the visual corridor for the entire Kowloon district.
Clearly, the height limits mean that it's very different. The highest building on our site is 100 metres. The highest building next to our site, the IFC building, is 487 metres. Most of the other buildings around us are 200 to 300 metres. So from our point of view, our site is going to feel like paradise, I think, in terms of the relationship between the buildings and the public space. The 23 hectares ensure that there is public space not only in the park but in the big avenues. We've done extensive studies on ventilation, worked with the environmental authorities to make sure that those big avenues provide cooling. We have balustrading, we have covered areas that we would envisage being able to bring down the temperature across the whole of the site. And the very fact that the tallest buildings being 100 metres means that it will feel like a very human space, I think, in terms of the aspiration, and it will be able to be. You'll have options with no cars, no transport getting in the way. Pedestrians will be able to use the outdoor eating, drinking, sitting spaces, and importantly the whole of the waterfront will provide at least 20 metres of open space around the whole of the site connecting to the major transport nodes. So I hope that reassures you to some extent.
Now, because if you can give me a 3D visual plan, then I will feel more reassured.
That would be great.
Now, I just wish to supplement. The member is correct. This is not a 3D plan. This plan is about the various plots, so you can't really see the buildings. But there will be open space on each of these plots, and we've also carried out AVAs. And we also have NBAs, non-building areas, and they are there to increase airflow. So after the AVA has been completed, I want to say that the buildings of walled effect are there behind the site. As our CEO has pointed out, the tallest building will only be 100 MPD and 70 here, 50 there. So and then behind we have 480 MPD. And so concerning ventilation and airflow, there shouldn't be a problem. And we also have NBAs. And then here, there is a piazza. That's near the XRL, and there are ample NBAs to make sure that there will be airflow from north to south and from east to west. So in other words, we'll not have buildings on the entire plot, so there will be good ventilation.
Next one, Mac Maycoon. Ms. Mac. Chairman, 2 questions. First, just then, someone asked about the transportation links. Even though Dr. said there will be footbridges and subways, etc., but all the we know that there are subways there in the area. But in fact, if you are going there from Jordan, Canton Road, it's not appealing. Even if you are at Austin Station, why people use so few people use Austin Station? Because it's still not easily accessible. So in the future, what can you do to ensure that pedestrians are willing to use public transportation to get to the site instead of using their own cars and so forth? And I look at your development parameters. The height limits 50, 70, and 100. Even though there will be no buildings creating a wall effect, but then you have these buildings in scattered locations. From Jordan, I think ICC and the other tall buildings are in the other side, but in Jordan, there's a certain street there. To some extent, there are buildings with sea view. But if you have a building in the cultural district with a height of 100 meters and 70 meters, then that might block the view of some buildings along the area in Jordan Road. I'm not worried about the sites of ICC or some luxury flats in West Kowloon. I'm just worried about buildings in the old districts, whether their views will be blocked in the future. And also, for the approved development plans, the plan covers more than 40 hectares, but there are about half, or 23.8 hectares of the area used for open space. But I'm worried that with the hotels and buildings there and other specified uses for residential developments, how can we not make sure that this site would not become another cyberport? The most famous landmark in cyberport now is its hotel.
I think the balance between the 23 hectares of green space on the 40-hectare site ensures that, with respect to Cyberport, that it doesn't become like Cyberport. The whole intention of this project is that the green spaces are meant to be there for, in particular, the communities of the surrounding areas to have proper public space that is quite different, can be used in all sorts of different ways to the existing public space on the Kowloon side. And so we are confident that the balance between the 20% commercial, the 20% office and the cultural facilities within the 23 hectares of green space is the right balance. And we feel very confident both in the work that we're doing on the design of the park and on the other public realms parts of the site, that what we'll do will get it right. I'll just ask MW Chan to pick up the first part of your question in terms of the specific height issue.
或者我由呢個高度嗰度講返。
Yeah, let's talk about this height issue. 100 is in the middle. The 100 meters is in the middle. On this side is 70 meters. On this side is 50 meters. The 70 meters here actually are nearer to the XRL. You know that along this stretch of land there will be high buildings there. So the 70 meters is about the same height as the buildings planned for the areas around Austin Station. So from this area, from this side to this side, the height limit is 70 meters. Yes, understand. Next one, Emily Lau. Thank you, Chairman. Excuse me for being late. Two things. One is about the other specified uses. There will be offices, retail, recreation, facilities, and so forth. But who will decide who will be the tenants in this area? Because increasingly we've heard voices from the community that all these dining, retail outlets are dominated by large companies. It's very difficult for small operators to enter the market. The same for banks. Large banks may cooperate with large chain stores, to support their operations. So the end result is small operators, budding entrepreneurs feel that they have no chance of, maybe using the space. So will we see just a large cluster of design boutiques, brand name stores in the area? So who in the authority will decide? I hope that the authority can listen to our views and allow for small local operators to have a chance to run their businesses there. And secondly, what will be the next stage now, the next step now?
Your first question, clearly our intention and one of the benefits of both the plot ratio and the height restrictions and the level of government support for this project is that we do not want this to look like a shopping centre. We have always intended in the commercial mix of the project that we would favour the local, that we would have at least 150 individual pieces of commercial activity, which it fits within the integrated model. We would have range of small and local activities, but we want it to feel very much like the local communities. We'll also have some larger scale restaurants and bars and coffee houses. We don't wish to turn it into a shopping centre, and that's very much the intention. Part of the work that we're doing on the integrated development that we talked about earlier is looking at the issues of commercial mix, looking at the issues of what flexibility we will have in terms of determining rents, but those decisions would be very much part of the WKCD's commercial strategy going forward. And clearly, the first test of that will be on the Xiqu Centre site, which will open in 2016, where we're now doing the work over the coming year on what the mix is. But we see it as a mix that needs to be very compatible with the likely future audience. So the tea house will be run as a very much traditional tea house in the tradition of Cantonese or Chinese opera, and we'll then be looking at the mix around the buildings in terms of restaurants and coffee places.
主席，我好多謝，我好高興聽到Mr. Lynch 咁講啦。
Yeah, I'm very pleased to hear what Mr. Lynch said. I hope that in the future you can provide us with a paper to let us know more in detail that small operators, small shops, individuals in Hong Kong will be able to rent spaces there. I don't know how you're going to decide who will be the most suitable tenants, but I hope that you won't actually turn all the small tenants away. Your principle is good, but I'd like to see in paper how you're going to decide and when you make a decision. Chairman, I'm sure you've heard a lot of views. Hong Kong, small operators have been driven out of their shops by large companies, large firms. And he said that he doesn't want to turn the site into another specific place. I understand that, but please give us a paper when it's ready. Okay, so that's the end of the first round of questioning. I personally have two questions. One is if the local young people or artists who are not well known and they want to establish themselves in the site, you said that there will be 5 multiple new spaces for these budding or unknown young artists, but I can't see in your plan where are the spots. Can you have some kind of spaces that actually are designated for letting avant-garde or young artists to showcase their talents to perform? And secondly, in Plan 5 of your paper, the pedestrian connections, walkways, can you give me more details? How are you going to connect the site with nearby areas? It's such a big site, it's a sprawling site. It may take me more than 20 minutes to get around the entire district. If you ask, for example, people in the old district, if someone walking from the old district to the tip or to the end of the site, it may take them an hour. So there could be lots of trees, there as well. Are there some automated passageways?
The first question, and then we'll come to the second one. The space in the park, free space, is essentially dedicated towards young local performers, particularly music, dance, performance art. The building in the centre opposite the train station, the Centre for Contemporary Performance, is 3 black boxes of 150, 450 and 600. I'll just get that picture up so you understand where those are. That's an important venue in terms of young people and the young artists of Hong Kong. We seem to have lost it along the way. But in each of the other venues, including the new Xiqu venue, substantial arts education spaces, rehearsal spaces and studio spaces, which will provide the opportunities for the younger Yeah, if you look at the big venue, can you get the Centre for Contemporary Performance? There we are. Those are very much predicated towards trying to make young and up-and-coming groups relevant in
我
terms
想
of
問下有冇
what's
啲
happening.
open space 啊，啲空曠嘅地方去俾人嗰啲年青人？
I'd like to know about, do you have open space designated for young people?
We have a big open space down in the middle of the park for up to 10,000 people. We'll have pavilions in the park and pavilions on other parts of the site for up and coming, and that's clearly an important part of being able to engage the community. And we will continue. I think that's something that, as we develop the concept for the park and the free space, gives us a good opportunity to come back and talk to you. On the issue of access, I can't walk from Canton Road to the end of the site. I can ride a bike. I will be able to take some form of e-transport that will be particularly dedicated to looking after the disabled and the aged community like myself. We'll also, be looking at travellators along the eastern perimeter of the site to be able to get you within proximity, and we'll also have specific provisions for universal access that will make sure that every part of the site will be readily accessible to anyone who has mobility difficulties. And that's clearly, we got 26,000 people onto the site yesterday, using both buses and existing transport. And I think that was a good model for the ability of people to use all of those means of access.
OK， 唔該晒。
Thank you. Okay, second round. Those who've raised their hands include Chen Yunhan, Ellen Liang, Wang Pik Wen, and Emily Lau. Anybody who want to ask questions? Okay, you can ask questions later on. Now, Chen Yunhan first. Let me make it clear, because we have another item of this meeting, so please limit each question and answer to 3 minutes, okay? Chairman, well, since we have this meeting today, I want to have more transparent talk. I think we need more details from the authority. I don't really know what you're pointing at, just looking at the plan. I think there could be a more thorough discussion on the plan itself. Just then, for Victoria Harbour, there's a green promenade, I know, where people can cycle, but just then I heard from Mr. Lynch, just then you said that there will be travelators, okay, allowing people to get to different sites. But how does the design work? I can only use my imagination here. I can imagine, good or bad designs. So I very much hope that just then you stress the 3 principles, the environmental principle, the greenery, and thirdly is the issue, the third principle is accessibility. They are important principles, but will the principles be really materialized? Okay, what will happen in reality? For the sake of, projects, sometimes engineers would, create travelators and so forth at the expense of others. I'm sure there will be beautiful green promenade along the waterfront. But as for the connectivity with other urban districts, how can you come up with a good arrangement? I really want to be given more details. These plans cannot satisfy my requests. Okay, my second question is...
And then you have the Artist Square, Central Square, Xiqu Square, and then there is the mega performance venue and the exhibition centre. Now, concerning the exhibition centre, is it just a big turf for people to perform? Or will there be a structure? Hong Kong people want outdoor performance venues. Yesterday I went to Xiqu, and I saw some performers, they said they wanted more venues, and Shu-kun said that for the budding artists groups, budding artists, where could they perform? You said yes, but I don't know where that venue will be. I mean that venue for budding artists. So I want more details. Because you talk about mixed uses, I think this plan doesn't provide enough information to me. Deputy Chairman.
The actual venue that we're talking about for young people is between the two grey exhausts in the middle of the park. You'll see where that's that space.
Because time's up, I agree with Ms. Chan. Now we will forward the minutes of the meeting to you, and then you can give us detailed written replies. And if necessary, we may want to have another meeting to discuss this development plan. We want written information.
It's a brief. I've met a number of members of the committee, but because the committee has grown somewhat, to brief individual members on any of the background issues, that we're happy to do that, but we're very happy to follow your suggestion on that front.
Not individual member. We want written information. Now, so members have asked many questions. Members have wanted more details. So please give this joint subcommittee a supplementary paper. We think the development plan is very important. All right? So please give us the supplementary information in another paper, all right? Yes, Chairman. In fact, LegCo has been concerned about this project since the third term. I believe Mr. Lynch knows that. This is not merely an arts and cultural project. We're talking about the artistic quality of Hong Kong people. We're talking about Hong Kong's positioning globally in the days to come. So this West Kowloon Cultural District project is really extremely important, and that's why LegCo members are so concerned. We want a West Kowloon Cultural District that is built for the people of Hong Kong. So I want to say this, Chairman. Who is this cultural district for? Now, if people use the express rail, and then they can go to Hotel W or Hotel Ritz-Carlton, or they can rent a flat above the elements, and then they can, through the elements, walk to the West Kowloon Cultural District. But then the Cultural District is not built for mainland billionaires. Ms. Chen Yun-han, as well as all LegCo members, are concerned. This cultural district is not for those who are going to live in Ritz-Carlton. Now, Chairman, I agree with you. Today's discussion is merely the beginning. It's not the end of the whole discussion. Now, the CEN Council approved the development plan in January. I asked how the plan could be amended. Now, Mr. Wen, I know you are in a difficult position. The Town Planning Board or the Planning Department, Ms. Ophelia Wong, they must give us a paper on whether the parameters can be changed in future, and under what circumstances can the parameters be changed, and what procedures need to be gone through to change the parameters. We want to know all these. And then it is said that a consultancy study is essential to implement the concept plan. how can LegCo give its input? How can the public give their input? We need all such detailed information. I know time's up, but we want replies to all these important questions and issues. And I hope that the authority understands that we are concerned, we are very concerned, and we will continue to follow up. All right, Helena Wong. Thank you, Chairman. I want to ask a few questions. First, I want to know whether you are still consulting the arts and cultural sector. Have they given you further suggestions? And will you revise the development plan in the light of their comments and suggestions? And then is the dialogue between the cultural sector and you going on? And then para 14 says that there may be 2 piers and there may be ferry service. But then you don't know whether there will be operators. For the ferry service. Do you know that in Hong Kong we have many piers, but we do not have a lot of ferry service? So if we spend money constructing the piers, and if there are no interested operators, the piers will just lie there. So we want ferry service. Linking the cultural district to Hong Kong Island, to Hong Kong, to Kowloon City, to Tsuen Wan, to Kai Tak. So we want to have ferry service, bringing people to the cultural district from different parts of the territory. And then if nobody is interested in operating the ferry service, then perhaps you need to consider whether you will be operating the ferry service yourself. Talk to the transport department. Do you know that there are many piers along the coastline, but then there are few ferry operators? And then my second question relates to air pollution. You know, the ocean terminal is very near to the cultural district, and we have big cruises berthed at the ocean terminal. But then I understand that electricity supply for berthed cruises will only be available at Kai Tak. In fact, I did ask the Environment Bureau whether the same electricity supply facility will be available at Ocean Terminal, because I'm worried about pollution caused by cruises. So will you talk to the Environment Bureau?
In regard to your second question around the question of the piers, we know that getting approval for the piers in Hong Kong will take us a long period of time. But we are fully intending to go ahead with the process to get us into a position to make sure that we do have water access to all of the site, and hopefully we'll be able to do that in a more timely way than it seems to have happened in the past. In regard to your first question, Mr. Lewis Yu, and we'll probably come back to that in the second part of the question, and his team are heavily engaged in ongoing discussion and review of the project with the cultural sector. Lewis and I meet with the major performing arts companies within the cultural sector on a regular basis, both with HAB and independently of them. Clearly, in regard to the visual arts community, M+ are heavily involved in discussions at all sorts of levels in terms of Hong Kong artists and Hong Kong arts organisations. So, we see it as very important. The actual concept plans themselves and the realisation in the development plan is really the sum of the wishes of the cultural stakeholders of Hong Kong. We didn't determine what those venues were going to be. The cultural community indicated.
Next, Ms. Emily Lau. Yes, thank you. I agree with my other colleagues, Chairman. Yes, I think this is the first discussion of the DP, and I understand that we have another item on the agenda, so I understand why you need to control the time. Now, but this is a very important project, and if we don't do our job well, this subcommittee and especially you will be criticized. Now, in fact, some have suggested that this joint subcommittee should be scrapped, and we should discuss the West Kowloon project in the Home Affairs panel. I disagree. Chairman, you must arrange enough meetings to discuss the DP, because if anything goes wrong, the DP if the DP goes wrong, then we will be criticized. Now, Mr. Lynch, I understand that you are willing to talk to individual members. That's good, but I think those individual discussions cannot replace discussion in this joint subcommittee. And members have raised a lot of concerns, questions. In fact, I asked how local people could take part. We don't want the West Kowloon Cultural District to be a place where we have a lot of shops of luxury brands, and we are concerned about connectivity. So I hope that the authority will give us a paper giving us supplementary information on all the questions raised by members today. Now, some may say that LegCo members are causing delay, some are blaming us, but then, Chairman, I think we must have enough meetings. I hope that you and the Deputy Chairman and the Clerk can list all the issues that members have raised, and please give this list of issues to the authority, and then the authority must give us all the information. And please do not discuss too many things at one meeting, Chairman. And I hope that the authority can understand that members are very concerned. We are only given the concepts. We don't know the details, and later the people may criticize us. They may blame us. They may say that LegCo members are giving support without having been given adequate information. Yes, I understand your concern. In fact, I am also concerned. Now, in fact, as a LegCo member, I will spend half of my time on West Kowloon. I mean, my effort, my energy, my attention. When I work in this council, I will spend half of my time, effort, and energy on monitoring West Kowloon. Now, we are not satisfied with the information available today. We have raised many questions. We want detailed replies in writing. And then after we've read your replies, we may need to have more meetings with you. Is that okay? Chairman, no West Kowloon. West Kowloon is different from members work in organizing vegetarian feasts and other things. All right. I think my position is clear. All right. Third round, Chen Yun Han. I'll give you only 3 minutes, including replies. Chairman, I think all members, irrespective of their political affiliation, can be united in monitoring the implementation of the West Kowloon Cultural District project. Now, I want to tell the administration and the authorities question. Tai Ham Village, over 7 hectares, we monitored the plan very, very closely. And then the Kaitek River, we monitored very closely. I understand that you're proposing a lot of hardware. I think 23% open space or 23 hectares open space. Yes, I endorse the general elements. Now we have Mr. Wen responsible for projects. Now, but I think we have to look at the entire plan. I'm concerned about connectivity to the urban area. And then I understand that there is near the central square a corridor. I support that. And then there is one here. I also agree. But Mr. Ma Fong Kwok expressed concern about a maximum plot ratio of 1.81. I've just called an engineer who is my advisor. And Chairman, I want to say that some are of the view that there will only be 2 to 3 stories of arts and cultural floors, and then on the upper floors we'll have commercial space. So the cultural sector is worried that there may be a lot of commercial space to subsidize the operation of the cultural district if the cultural district proves not to be viable. So the 3 squares. Now look at Landmark, for example. For different stories, the rental is different. And here, now there are different stories of cultural use, and there will be, of course, different artists using these various floors. You should also allow the layman in, like Pompidou. So I want to say that you have some corridors. That's true, but then I want to say that the blocks should be more artistic. 100 MPD and a lot of commercial space and office space on top, and then can the design be more aesthetic? Yes, Deputy Chairman.
Vice Chairman, I think Mr. Lynch actually had a conversation with me, and I did tell you that in the 4th term of LegCo, we had a lengthy discussion on the district. Before the 4th term of LegCo ended, we did compile a very detailed report because we know that this is an unprecedented project. So I think it's really worth your attention to look at the detailed report done in the LegCo term, the last LegCo term. And we're also concerned not just about the hardware, a hardware made in accordance with development parameters. We hope that through the hardware, artists, people in Hong Kong can have more interactions, and we can enhance the entire artistic atmosphere in Hong Kong. I think at this stage, we actually have the consultancy report, and if the board has not discussed it, we do encourage you to discuss the consultancy report and to see whether there can be any entry points for the public and LegCo, particularly members of this joint committee, to take part in the future planning. This is important. Our participation is important because that's the only role we can play at this stage. I hope that Mr. Lynch can give us a more detailed reply and also a timetable on at what stages when we can participate in the future planning. Even though all our LegCo members now are very busy at this point in time, but because of the importance of the mega project, try to make time, to get involved in the planning. But please give us a timetable and let us know when we can have a say. And please let us, Chairman, know. We will continue to support your plan. Because there is actually limited time slots for us to meet. But as Ms. Emily Lau rightly pointed out, it's important to have open discussions within LegCo in addition to your discussions outside. We'll try to focus on the key issues, and this will also allow us to actually exercise our responsibility more effectively. Just then you talk about interactions between artists and Hong Kong people, and we want to know whether there are occasions for more public participation. I think that your consultancy study can actually try to bridge people's expectations and what's happening now. Yes, we've we extended this meeting by 15 minutes. So this meeting will end at 10:45 instead. So nobody else has any more views on this item?
One comment in regard to the last point that the Deputy Chair.
2 minutes.
Clearly what we're focused on the ongoing consultation, but I'd just like to draw the members' attention to the fact that we had an exhibition on the Xiqu and the unsuccessful exhibition around the Bamboo Theatre project. 100,000 people have visited that over the course of the last 3.5 weeks, as well as attending the Bamboo Theatre project on Canton Road. And clearly we've given the community whatever opportunity they want to feed back to us in terms of both digitally or in direct contact, and we'd look at very much wanting to take them with us as we do the Bamboo project next year on the actual site, but clearly we recognise the ongoing questions. That's all I wanted to say.
OK 嗱，咁啦，我哋總結咗呢個。
Thank you. So I know that members were not entirely clear or satisfied with the answers given today, so members therefore have suggested that, and I will support this motion, that on the basis of all the questions asked, we hope that the Bureau and the District Authority would give us a written paper to list in detail your answers to the questions raised today. Within 2 weeks, I hope you can give us the paper. If not, just try to give whatever answers you can come up with first. Hopefully in 2 weeks you can give us the first paper with either partial answers or all the answers. Let me give you an example. Your automation system, if all your travelators automation system is put at one side of the district, then you are mainly serving, the shops owners and people in the residential units. So the public may not be well served by your travelators or automation system. So we need to make sure that the project will not become another mega residential project. This is really, an area with huge potential, for developers. Each square foot may cost tens of thousands of dollars. We don't want the cultural district to become another mega property project. Because the site itself can fetch a very, very high property price. So we want to make sure that this is an area that can enhance the artistic atmosphere and the culture of the entire society. So please give us a paper with detailed answers to the questions raised. And we also discussed with the Secretariat or members to see when we can actually have other meetings to discuss other particular issues. So no problem, Ms. Lau. Okay. Now let's go to the chairman. I've raised my hand. I have the same view as you, but I'd like to propose that because of the scale of the planning. I agree with your summing up, but I'd like to say that please don't have too long a meeting next time. So you want them to give us answers in 2 weeks. I think we need to have another meeting within a month. Let's not wait too long for another meeting. Yeah, let's not drag our feet on the issue. We don't want to say, as mentioned by Ms. Na, we don't want people to say that we are dragging our feet. Let's have another meeting within a month on the planning issue. The planning is the soul of the project. If it's not well done, then a lot of problems will be, created. Okay, we arrange for a meeting. Next item is on the Xiqu Centre design competition. So the paper is with us. Who will take us through it? Mr. Wen? Yes. Thank you, Chairman. On the Xiqu Centre, the West Kowloon Cultural District Authority, back in June 2012, organized actually already briefed you on the design competition of the Xiqu Centre, and the design process has now begun. Now the design competition was over, the selected designing team was announced in December 2012, and the authority has appointed that team to be the consultant for the first stage planning of the design centre. The consultants are now in the process of doing the design. Hopefully, the first stage facility will be available for running in 2016. And we have given you a paper on the process and outcome of the design competition. We are now invite the representative of the Kowloon district to brief you more on the paper.
A hand straight up. I think we'll go, because of the time pressure, we'll go straight into the presentation quickly, and then happy to come back and allow Lewis or myself or MW to answer any other questions.
OK。
Yes, I'll be very brief with the entire process of the design competition and the outcome. You all know that Xiqu Centre is one of the core performing arts venues, and we've agreed that the building would actually have the involvement of international architectural talents. And we have also considered the views of LegCo, HKIA, and the public, and we selected the Xiqu Centre as the first venue for the design competition. You can see on the plan the location of the Xiqu is at the junction of Austin Road and Canton Road. It's a very convenient and easily accessible location. The design competition actually is under the supervision of a special steering committee. Its members come from engineering, architectural, and performing arts sectors, including Mr. Li Xingxi, Raymond Feng, Ms. Yip Bingxi, Dr. Lisa Wang, Professor Li Kai-Kwa, myself, and Mr. Wen Man-Leung from the Home Affairs Bureau. The entire design competition was based on the recommendation of the Hong Kong IA, engaged Professor Ben Lim as our independent professional advisor. The entire jury panel is international in nature, including Mr. Li Xingxi, Mr. Jordi Ferrando from Spain, Ms. Zhak from France, and Mr. Tui Kai from China. And we also have representatives from the Performing Arts Center, Mr. Mao Chun-fai and Mr. Yun Xiu-fai. We also have backup jury, for example, Li Chi-kei and Yu Qing-hung. So these are the members of the jury panel. And there's also a technical committee supporting the jury panel, including representatives from the Hong Kong IA, representatives from the Hong Kong Institute of Engineers, and also performing arts professional Lang Wai Hong, Mr. Chow Kam Chun, venue operation professional, and so forth. So performing arts, engineering, architectures, all the talents from these fields are involved in the process. And they did give advice to the jury panel. The design competition itself actually has some assessment criteria, for example, innovation, sustainability, ability to align with the master plan, and so forth. So you can see the weightings on the right-hand side. By March 9, 2012, we invited people to make submissions, and we received 63 in total by April. So we had a very good reactions, and initial assessment was made, and we shortlisted 5 design teams in the end. The shortlisted teams included BTA and LP Company, Foster & Partners, with O Studio Architects, a Hong Kong team, McAnew, and Lane Orange, and Dutch TAM, Staff D, American company, and also a Canadian company of Wang and Aoyang. So these teams competed in the second round.
And in fact, we had workshops with the design teams to ascertain their responsiveness and ability to work in harmony with the CDA. And the design team submitted their designs by the deadline. And the JP recommended the BTA and LLP Company Limited to be the winning design team. Because we're now in the detailed design stage, so we have to make sure that the company, the team can work with us smoothly. And the recommended winning design team was endorsed by the DC and approved by the board. So this is the appearance of the Xiqu Centre. And the estimated cost for the Xiqu Centre and related facilities is about 2.7 billion at money of the day prices. Concerning the cost estimate of the Xiqu Centre back in 2006, it was 1.3 billion. But then we do see that, in fact, the increase in the construction price index has doubled during the period. And the building will include about 2,000 square meters of arts education facilities and greater public leisure space. And these were not covered in the original scope in 2006 because in the public engagement exercise there were suggestions that there should be arts education facilities. So 2.7 billion is the target price. And we are now in the detailed design stage. So the design consultants will work out the detailed design in the coming months, and we will exercise prudent financial management in terms of cost with a view to delivering the Xiqu Centre in 2016. And I've got this very short video for you.
OK， 好，各位委員。
Alright, members, do you have any questions? Helena Wong? 4 minutes. Chairman, Concerning this Xiqu Centre, is it that the design is for Chinese Xiqu and not other types of operas? That's the first question. Can it be a performance venue for Western opera? Is it that it's merely for Chinese opera? That's the first question. And then second, the translation, Xiqu Centre. This is a pinyin translation. But then for the other structures and buildings in the cultural district, the translation is not a pinyin translation. Some are of the view that this translation is very out of place. So is Chinese Opera Center a better name? Because some may be puzzled when they see the name Xiqu Center. They may not know Hanyu pinyin. Who can answer? Mr. Yu.
Regard to the Senate, we've been using the same name for the last 6 years, and it's only in the last 6 weeks that there have been any objections to it. I think from our point of view, we'll engage with the public and the various communities. I thought there's been some sensible press comment on the issue, and we'll engage with that as we move forward. But I guess from our point of view, we see it as a distinctive name that reflects the range of activity. It will not have Western opera in it. It was chosen deliberately as the first venue because it reflects the interests of the Hong Kong community, and we believe it is appropriate that the front door to the site on Canton Road, and the first building delivered should reflect those local sensibilities. I might ask Lewis to comment. I'm not a linguistic expert, but I do think the fact that for 6 years no one's raised an objection to the name in any substantive sense, and it's only in the course of the last 6 weeks that people have questioned it, seemed to me to be something that we'll see what happens over the course of the construction time. But Lewis might want to comment.
Chairman, the Xiqu Centre will be full of Hong Kong characteristics. Now, in fact, the Cantonese opera sector wants a Xiqu Centre for Chinese opera primarily. But in fact, I want to say that technically all types of performances can be accommodated. But then many have said that the first venue to be completed should be the Xiqu Centre. Now, it's true that in this case, we've used a pinyin translation. For the other parts of West Kowloon, we haven't adopted a pinyin translation. Now, in fact, that was a recommendation by a committee from the sector in 2006. That committee recommended this translation back in 2006, and that was because for Xiqu, we want to distinguish this from Chinese opera. Opera originated in the 16th century in Italy. So the sector said that the center should not be used for Chinese opera performance. It should be used for Xiqu performance only. Mr. Ma Feng Kuo, I would also like to comment on the name. As I am a member of the board of the authority, I need not ask the other questions. In fact, I was the chairman of the ADC for 6 years. And when I took over, Xiqu was one of the 10 arts groups in the ADC. So Xiqu is a term that has been used for many years. In fact, I've done some research, and I understand that the name Xiqu was arrived add, after lengthy discussion among academics and people in the Xiqu discipline. Now, concerning this translation, this pinyin translation, Xiqu, I want to say that in this world, 1.5 billion people will be able to understand Xiqu, this term Xiqu. More and more people are learning the Chinese language and also Putonghua. And in fact, in many countries, when they promote their art and culture to outsiders, they like to use their own traditional terms. For example, kabuki in Japan. Previously, no one knew what kabuki was, but now outsiders understand this term. So I think we should be open-minded, and I think the WKCDA as well as the HKADC should explain to the public this term Xiqu. We can publicize this term so that we can dispel suspicions based on political grounds or what. All right, so that's your comment. Ms. Emily Lau, Chairman, concerning the cost estimate. Now, you know, the cost has doubled. The cost estimate has doubled. This is worrying. Yes, you've told us that the tender price index has almost doubled, but I think the increase in the cost estimate has more than doubled. And you're telling us that there will be 2,000 square meters of arts education facilities, and there will also be some public open space. So now I want to know how much the arts education facilities and the public open space will cost. Give us a breakdown, because we've approved $21 billion. I'm sure that won't be enough. Please do not regard LegCo as an ATM. And if you don't have enough money, you come and withdraw some money. That's not the right mentality. You have to show us that you are extremely prudent. You have to convince the public that you are not spending lavishly. So can you give us the detailed cost estimate?
Clearly, the breakup of the actual numbers of the 2.7 billion is 1.7 on the theatre and the arts education facilities, about 60 million on the car park, and about 400 on the retail dining and associated entertainment facilities. That's and then some 400 million for fees, project reserves, brings us up to the 2.7. I think I said in my first appearance before the previous committee in August 2011, the cross pressures on the projects, but that we would not know until we had gone through the first of the design competitions and the design process, that we would not know what the budgets were. In 2006, when the first money was granted, the Xiqu Centre was not even on the same site that we're now talking about. It was on one of it was moved.
Chairman. Now you've given us the breakdown verbally, so why haven't you given us the figures in the paper? And also, yes, I agree that there should be design competitions, but I hope that you will have very clear figures. Please don't tell the designers that you can come up with any design you like. We just want the best, the most beautiful design. Taxpayers are willing to pay. Now, because I don't know, maybe next time they come, the cost estimate may triple or quadruple. So we're concerned about how you spend money.
And outlined very clearly when she announced the details of the winning competition, the issues in regard to costs and why the costs had escalated, and that was done very publicly in December. Clearly, I'm very happy to break down the figures in terms of specific detail, but that wasn't a specific question. From our point of view, we believe we now have a real figure for the budget. It's gone through all the competition scrutiny, it's gone through all of the other
主席，我問
levels
喺
of scrutiny.
喺個比賽嗰度有冇？
I asked, did you, during the competition, tell the contestants about the budget and ask them not to come up with any figure they like?
Up with any figure they like. Each of the contestants have to cost their figures. We independently cost the figures, and we are confident that the range of the whole point of running a design competition is to set up a competitive framework. We are confident that the result of this framework has given us a deliverable budget, a real budget for the project, and clearly that's what we've gone public with when the chairman announced the winner of the competition in
主席，
December.
我相信佢以後啲。
I think in the future, if there are to be any design competitions, you need to consider, what is the limit for the budget. Okay, I think after the meeting, please give us a paper, give us a breakdown of your budget to explain why the budget has more than doubled. To let us know, what costs have exceeded the budget. And they also need to explain in the paper to us whether you make consideration to the budget in having the design competition. Had you set a budget limit for the contestants in the design competition, so that you're not giving them unlimited budget? In the future, I think you need to consider. You will have more projects, construction projects coming up. So please watch the budget. We should not exceed the budget anymore. Next one, Vice Chairman. Chairman. The previous chief secretaries, when they were Rafael Hui, that is Rafael Hui and Henry Tang, when they oversaw the project, they pledged that the $2.1 billion would be enough, and they would not ask LegCo for more money. They pledged, before, but now we have the first facility in this district that already exceeded the original budget. So if you don't have a proper estimate, then how can you balance the overall budget for the district? We're very worried. You may have enough money to build the first 3 facilities, but then later on you'll be short of cash. And if you were to move forward in the future, you may have to overthrow the undertaking made before and come back to LegCo for more money. I'm worried that you may have to try to maintain or get extra revenue from residential office buildings. So you do need to explain to us why is it that the budget for the centre has more than doubled and you're now giving the green light to the project? It's not that the more money is spent on the facility, the better results you get. Of course, we all have our bottom lines. There are expenses that cannot be spared, but there may be expenditures that are not necessary. And Chairman, I'd also like to ask about the operational model of the Xiqu. Has the authority decided on how the Xiqu Centre will be operated? Will there be some kind of accountability system?
Just going back to the cost issue, I think we flagged quite clearly that the cost pressures that were going to be on any of the projects once we'd chosen designs, the major impact on that when from the CC case was when it was 1.3 billion. The figures that we've done, our independent QSs and the independent quantity surveyors for all of the people who submitted designs for the project, are in line. This is not the most expensive of those submitted from our point of view. Clearly, I think it only serves to clarify the fact that building costs on Hong Kong projects have risen dramatically over the last 6 years. I'm worried about that. I'm worried about that unless we build some of these things relatively quickly, who knows what the situation might be in 5 or 10 years. So the imperative to try and deliver these projects within the time frames we've outlined is incredibly important. The chairman, when she made the announcement of the Xiqu competition, indicated that we should be pursuing all sorts of options in terms of further financing of the projects, and we're in the process of doing that. And at some point, I guess that issue of where LegCo are involved inevitably will be part of future discussions. I think that's all I can probably say about the costs at this point. We are confident that we've now got a great project to deliver. It will be the first project. It is the front door to the whole of West Kowloon, and we think it will create huge international interest in both the specific art form, in the specific project, and ultimately have good ramifications for the development of the whole of West Kowloon.
OK，下一位陳婉嫻。
Next one, Chen Yunhan. Maybe let me tell Mr. Lynch. Do you know that people in the art center have told me that they think that you always overspend? Why isn't there any monitoring of the spending at the authority? That's what they've told me. Let me now ask a good question.
I should be at least able to.
俾議員問咗先啦。
Okay, please let me finish my question first. We can have discussions, and you should listen to what people say outside. People say that you've increased the budget to 2.6 billion. That's more than double, and we feel that when you decide on the project, you need to consider the cost implications. People have the impression that maybe not just you, but the entire authority, are not very conscious of the cost implications. My question is, the entire design, the artistic concept surrounding by the Xiqu Centre, it is a beautiful model. But at some stage, all arts are constrained by the availability of budget. So I want to see the cost and the design itself. Have you subject them to monitoring by people in the artistic center? People have not said whether the design is good or not, but people are asking whether there's really a need for such a huge budget. Is the money going to be worth, or the design, the future operations worth all the money spent? Can you answer me the question? Home Affairs Bureau, does the government have any monitoring over the budget? Or is it after design is done, then you give the authority a free hand? Can I ask the Home Affairs Bureau to answer? Can I ask the Home Affairs Bureau to answer? Yes. Just then, Dr. Chen said that the steering committee has representatives from the Home Affairs Bureau, so we were involved in the entire process of the design competition. She's asking she's asking whether you watch the accounts, the budget. You might want to have a very avant-garde design of the stage, but that would cause a very huge price. Yes. We have made all kinds of considerations. Chairman, I'm very disappointed with Mr. Wen's answer. I'm very disappointed. Let me give you a poor analogy. I don't know what it calls. The Galaxy Casino in Macau. During the Christmas, it had a diamond show in which a diamond was raised from underground. But in Macau, the Macau government can revoke the right of the operator running the Galaxy Casino. So, as a government department, if the budget rose from 1.3 billion to 2.6 billion, the government has a role to see what happened. Is it that the operator or the authority has not followed the budget guidelines carefully? So maybe Mr. Wen disagrees, but I have the impression, or people outside have the impression that the government has not really fully fulfilled its role of monitoring the authority. You can't just let the authority spend in any way it likes. So we've got unfavorable criticisms. Well,
But in
1 minute.
1.3 billion in 2006, that was the budget given to all of the teams and the independent quality surveyors, and the 5 teams of different quality surveyors came back with figures between 2.6 and higher for the project. So, no, I don't think there is any question about us monitoring the budget. And in regard to, the monitoring of West Kowloon, the board formally monitors as does LegCo, what we're doing, and clearly from that point of view that will be an important part of the scrutiny of the project. The board comprised of significant players from across all sectors of Hong Kong society, including building, construction and government. And so I think the issue, and I think one has to take it back to the issue in August 2011 when you asked me what the ultimate cost of the project was, and I said I couldn't tell you until you designed some of the buildings and then costed those buildings in present day terms. It is now 7 years since the original cost estimates were given for the buildings. The buildings have changed in scope and scale, position on the site. You have adopted a master plan with fundamental principles embodied in it. You have put in the basement project. So it's a very different project to 2006.
OK，
主席，
我
我實
諗
我實際老實講，我覺得
let me be frank. I think I would need to ask the department. I wouldn't doubt that construction and manpower costs have risen in the past 6 years. But if there's a ceiling imposed, then maybe we will not see the budget more than doubling. So I've heard from criticisms from professional artists outside. Okay, I think the Home Affairs Bureau, please give us a paper, or answer us in writing to prove that in the past you have what you've done to monitor the design of this Xiqu Centre, and also you need to tell us what you have done, how you were involved in monitoring the budget of the centre and the authority. And I think the West Kowloon Cultural District Authority also owes us an answer on how come you seem to be unaffected by the more than doubling of the budget. So what have you done to control the budget? Next one. Chair Wei Chun. Thank you, Chairman. I may not need the government or Mr. Lynch to answer this. I just want to state my concern. I'm concerned about the cost. I know that the assessment criteria are there as in NS3. In fact, there is the way the cost, the cost concern, construction program consideration only makes up 10% of the assessment criteria. That's why. And I heard from Mr. Lynch that the budget was approved 6 years ago. And whenever you could. But that's the approved budget. That's the limit. You're not supposed to exceed the limit. We need to consider cost effectiveness. Cost effectiveness only is part of, make up about 10% of the weighting in the competition. I think you don't need to spend a lot of money to create aesthetics effects. You don't need to overstress the cost. Sometimes there are people, who can come up with all sorts of creative ideas without any regard for costs. So we need to consider, cost effectiveness. Look at the other assessment criteria, for example, compliance with all the statutory requirements and so forth, that make up 15% of the criteria. And I think my main concern is that I'm very, as said by Ms. Chen Yun-han, you don't think that you have a limited amount of money to spare. Don't just spend in whatever way you like. I know that costs will continue to go up, but I do hope that once we have, we have such a top winner in the competition, we need to make sure that they also watch the budget, and not let the, the cost or the construction cost to continue to go up. I don't need any answer. Next one, Chan Lai Wen.
唔該，主席。
Thank you. So I can see that members are concerned about two issues mainly. I wish to follow up. First of all, the name, the translation. So the Chinese is Xiqu Centre, and the English is Xiqu Centre. But I can tell you that the name is important. You have to be able to see the name and understand the meaning. Xiqu Centre. If I just look at the English name, I don't understand what it means. So how can you expect expatriates, visitors, to understand what this is? Some may say Chinese Kung Fu. Expatriates understand what is meant by Kung Fu. But of course, Kung Fu is known, it's well known, it's a well-known term to all. And then Chang Sham, okay? Many people know Chang Sham. But Xiqu Centre. Some may think that this is in fact a commercial center or shopping center. So can you elaborate a bit in the English translation so that when people see the name, they clearly know that it's for the performance of this type of opera. And also when you use the words Xiqu Xiqu, you have to include all streams of Xiqu, not merely Cantonese opera. All right? So concerning this center, its management, its publicity, you have to emphasize that as you are using the words Xiqu, you have to make sure that you encompass different streams of traditional Chinese opera, not just Cantonese opera. And then the cost estimate from $1.3 billion to $2.7 billion. This is really unacceptable. Now, I want to tell you that if an enterprise or a business receives such an increase in cost estimate, that will not be accepted. We want to know what extra facilities you are providing in doubling the cost estimate. What extra things are you providing? Now, at that time, you estimated 1.3 billion. What components were included at that time? Was it that at that time you were proposing an outdated theatre like Yau Ma Tei Theatre, nothing innovative?
That's the unfortunate thing. So it's difficult to talk back about what happened in 2006. But the major issue in terms of cost escalation for the project has to do with the construction cost index in Hong Kong, and it relates to every other project in Hong Kong. So, no, I can't, the changes we made with the inclusion of 2,000 square feet of arts education space, and clearly addressing the fact that the venue for the Xiqu has moved from where it was in the original concept plan to where it now sits within the development plan.
Okay. You've got him, you.
Mr. Kwok Him, thank you. I believe we all know what the criticisms in society are. My colleagues have already pointed that out. Many people are of the view that you are spending money lavishly, I hope that Mr. Lynch will really pay attention to that. People have the impression that you are spending money lavishly, not prudently at all. I used to be the chairman of this subcommittee in the last term. Now, please do not think that this council will very easily and lightly approve further funding for you. Because in the past, we had very lengthy and detailed discussion, and we came up with the figure 21.6 billion. And at that time, the CS4A and the Secretary for Home Affairs said very confidently that the amount approved would be enough. So you must try to live within your means, spend within your means. Now, I can remember very clearly that at that time, Mr. Akali told us that how you faced the various buildings might affect the cost. Which building first, which building second, that might affect the cost. But then I want to tell you that today people are concerned, LegCo members are concerned. Now, the cost estimate has been doubled, more than doubled. And can you attribute this merely to the increase in the tender price or construction cost index? Now, you've heard members' views, you've heard their concerns. And I believe you do understand that LegCo will not easily approve further funding. So concerning the future M+ and the other venues, now you really have to face up to reality. You have to really cope with this situation. So, Mr. Lynch, have you really studied the matter carefully? How are you going to cope with the situation financially? Do you have financially viable plans?
Very carefully. The answer to your question is that the major part of the escalation is the increase in the construction cost index for Hong Kong, which has risen, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's 97% over the 6-year period. And that's documented in many of the projects that have come before the LegCo, other projects other than ours. And I think Mr. Leung has clearly given some indications of those issues over all of the appearances I've made here. We are incredibly conscious of the fact, I don't know where the notion that we've been extravagant. We have spent 1.1 billion over the course of the last period of years in terms of getting the project to this point in time. We are incredibly concerned about the cost of the projects. We have phased the projects to ensure that we can do that. We are looking at alternative financing for the projects. We're flagged with the mega performance venue, with the exhibition centre and the music theatre that we pursue the options as indicated by the chairman of looking at PPPs. We're looking at a whole range of...
Okay.
All right, because of time constraint, if members have no objection, we'll extend the meeting by a further 15 minutes. In other words, we must end by 11 a.m. But then we have to reserve about 10 minutes for the last item on the agenda, and that is about the future work of this joint subcommittee. Mr. Abraham Sheck. Yes, I understand that we did approve 21.6 billion, and that was the money of the day. And we understand that costs do go up. But about 1.3 billion to 2.7 billion. So we can see that they have not been restraining themselves on the basis of the budget. They merely look at the design. And if you merely look at the design and not the financial aspect, then the cost can go up very significantly. So you are not living within your means. You have been given 21.6 billion. So the authority has not given clear instructions. You must all live within your means. And then, now you know, the authority was set up. Why is it that there has been so much delay? You know, the more delay there is, the higher the cost. Wages go up, the price of construction materials go up. Yes, we understand that there is inflation, but you're talking about 1.3 billion to 2.7 billion. I, of course, represent the real estate sector. I understand that construction costs have gone up. But then if you come to us for money, you have to give us very, very clear justifications. You have to justify every cent that you need to spend. Resources are limited. We don't have unlimited resources. So, 21.6 billion. You've got the 21.6 billion. So perhaps we can just use this amount to subsidize the arts and cultural sector. Adopt the Swire proposal. The triangular design, I don't know the exact name. 1.3 to 2.6 billion. This is really problematic. I think Ms. Chen Yun-han and other members have made very valid points. Now, Chairman, if they come back to us for money, they have to give us all the detailed calculations. I agree with Anne. 1.3 to 2.6 billion. We want all the details. What extra facilities are they providing? Why so expensive? This joint subcommittee is here to monitor their work. They just want the most beautiful buildings in the world. We just want the best. We do not want the most beautiful. All right, there's no need for a response. It's just his comments. All right, Helena Wong, Alan Leung, Emily Lau, Ma Fong Kwok, Anne Chang, second round. I'll draw a line. Anyone else? All right, 2 minutes for each member. Helena Wong. Chairman. I just want them to consult again on the English translation of the Xiqu Xiqu Centre. I think it's very odd. Can they carry out consultation again? They said that initially there were no comments, and that was because at that time most people did not know what the translation would be. If you want pinyin, then why aren't you calling it the Xiqu Zhongxin? So it's neither here nor there, no Xiqu Centre. Either you have the entire translation based on pinyin, but of course there will be objections because in Hong Kong we mainly speak Cantonese, and the translation is mainly for expatriates. So why aren't you using an English translation? And then you also have a Xiqu Centre and a Xiqu Square, I mean. And so are you going to call the West Kowloon Cultural District the Xiqu Cultural District? So I really hope that you can reconsider this translation. Chinese Opera House or Chinese Opera Centre will be better. Any response?
I don't think I could say too much more about it. We're certainly not looking at changing the names. And, the idea that it's been done I've been here 20 months. This decision was made 6 years ago, and I think the point that Ma Fung Gok made is the point that it stood for more than 6 years within the Arts Development Council. A decision was made to take it forward within the 3 concept plans to call it the Xiqu Theatre. I'm very happy if there's a groundswell of further opinion against it to be able to look at it. But at this point, it is it has no. We think it's a distinctive name that reflects what is going to go on there. But I'm certainly more concerned about many other things than the name of the Xiqu Centre. The budget, the timing and the ability to deliver the project within my lifetime is much more important to me than the name of this part of the first venue on the site.
Oh, thank you.
Chairman, what is important is not something to be decided by you alone. Well, the next one is Ellen Young. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to point out that I'd like to echo the views of many other colleagues. In 2008, some members here were involved in approving the budget. And back then, the subcommittee under LegCo commissioned a Hong Kong U team to carry out a study on budget estimate. There was a heated debate then, and our experts said that the budget would not be enough. They said that the budget was below the actual amount needed, and the government's pledged that, well, the budget, the experts were wrong. The budget was must be definite enough. So that's history, and I just like Mr. Lynch to know. And but I think when LegCo is monitoring, the authorities' work, there's every reason for LegCo to be worried that, you may run out of money in the years ahead. It seems because, history showed that experts' views actually seem to be more correct than the government's projection. But I think this is not an issue that can be resolved today. And yet, I think you need to discuss this matter of concern within the authority, within the board, whether we need to have, really $2.7 billion to build a centre. I think this is something worthy of more discussion. You may not have time to answer this question as well, but I'd like to ask whether you decided on the mode of operation of the Xiqu Centre. In the previous term of LegCo, this committee mentioned the possibility of accountability system. So, about the mode of operation, please answer in writing. You can give us a paper on that later. Emily Lau? Yes, I think that we need a lot of answers to be given to us in writing. Just then I ask, when you staged the competition, did you propose a ceiling on the budget for the contestants? Did you let them know that they would not have unlimited budget? Just as I mentioned about the weighting of 10% on the criterion of cost effectiveness. That's low. And in the paragraph 15 of the paper, it said that in the coming months, the winning design team, the experience gained from the design competition will be a useful reference for subsequent design competitions. So I'm worried about, even more, over budget projects in the years ahead. Would you have any methods to reduce the future costs of other projects? And, when it comes to creativity, is it that creativity means a huge amount of money? We know the answer is no. We like creative ideas, but you do need to let the designers know that Hong Kong is not an ATM. You need to consider carefully how we can, you can reduce the budget estimates. so that we can have more realistic expectations. We don't want to say at the end, oh, let's just put it to a halt, everything to a halt. The public doesn't want to see that happen again. So I hope that the board of the authority can have a meeting as soon as possible to see whether there's any room for reduction in your budgets and whether you need to amend your future assessment criteria for other competitions. Whether for M+ or other competitions, whether you can adjust the criteria so that the entries will not be as costly as the ones that we had. But you don't have to come back to us, for your other projects, budget for other projects. But you do need to think, about, our interests, what people think. Next one. I'd like to make a suggestion here. Today we've heard many views. And a lot of the questions or problems do not lie with the authority alone, because we have the chairman of the authority, and also we have a lot of government ministers represented in the authority. So I think the whole district, cultural district project is government-led. Therefore, it should be the government who's answering the questions about the costs and budgets. I find regretful that we don't have a senior enough government official here today to answer the questions on budgets. And I also like to remind executives of the authority to look back at history. Just as Mr. Lynch said that looking ahead, we may use other ways to raise capital, methods to raise capital. I'm also a member of the authority, but we need to note that, we may consider collaborating with the business sector, but let's note that when the entire West Kowloon Cultural District plan was mapped out a decade ago, the public did not support too close a link with the business sector. And that's why we have this model of, the government injecting capital and providing land for the project. So that's the backbone and actually principle adopted a long time ago. So I just like to remind executives and management of the authority to be aware of the background. Otherwise, we may, actually face more problems in the future. Anne Chiang, next. Anne is not here? Okay, well, in that case, that's the end of the item today because of limited time. We have to end our meeting at 11. So just we heard very clearly that you're over budget this time. I don't know how you can find the money. You need to consider for M+ and other facilities how you can reduce the budgets. If you don't reduce their budgets, then as Mr. Ip said, that costs could rise in the future, but you still need to, at the stage of design, accommodate for future, other, future construction costs and so forth. And your steering committee, was your steering committee aware of the need to spend within the budget? You can't, keep getting Rolls-Royce cars, which are most expensive. You need to go for or settle for maybe Japanese cars, to save costs, as an example. So that's the overall concept that you should have. I'm worried that given what happened, in future our colleagues would not approve the budgets for other designs. So please give us a breakdown after this meeting, a detailed breakdown to let us know what items have increased in costs, to try to convince us, to approve your budget. So please give us the paper afterwards. Any supplement? 1 minute.
One of the things that LegCo this subcommittee had paid a great interest in were the alternative financing measures, PPPs and naming rights and those issues. Perhaps at some point we should have a further discussion about LegCo's views as to whether I'm allowed to pursue some of those alternative financing measures in line with what Ma Fung Gok's just said, and recognising the history and the decisions made by the people of Hong Kong and the LegCo about the former manifestations of the project. Thanks, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Deputy Chairman. Thank you
好，
to the
多
committee.
謝你哋嚇，咁我哋就希望你1個月之後。
So I hope that within 1 month you can give us your paper as requested. And the paper will be for our reference. We'll see when we can meet again and invite you back to this committee again for a meeting. Just sorry, the mic is not on. Yeah, Mr. Lynch, mentioned about the role of LegCo. I don't want to actually give the misconception that, we want to constrain your expenses. We just, no, that's not what we want to do. We just want to make sure there's value for money. That's all. Yes, understood. If they want to consult us, of course, we welcome them to consult us. But that ultimately who's responsible for what decisions? We need to know that, whatever, especially if the authority is short of money and if they think that, there can be other ways of finding money. We may have views on other models of, ways of finding money. Well, yes, I think they can. Well, it's not up to us to make decisions, but they can consult us. Okay, it's not our role to make a decision. Our salary is only a little bit more than 80,000. We're not here to make any decisions, but we're here to monitor your expenses. But if you want to consult us, there's no problem with that. We're not professionals, so we're not supposed to make decisions. I think the message is clear. Okay? Please provide us with a paper within a month. Thank you. Thank you for your presence. So now the last item is on the working plan of the joint subcommittee. You've got the paper. The next meeting of our subcommittee is scheduled for April. There will be a meeting on the latest on M+, but the authorities said they need more time to prepare, so they won't be able to meet till end of April, contrary to our original schedule of early April. Now, and a few other arrangements, they are listed in the table in the paper. Please refer back to the paper and see if you have any questions. Chairman, based on the discussion we had, I think you and the Vice Chairman and the Secretariat may need to, there are so many answers that they owe us. I think the working plan may not be complete now. You may need to see, what more follow-up actions may be or discussions may be needed. Yes. If there's no objection, we can have a meeting, postpone our meeting scheduled for early April to end of April. And then we can have an extra meeting in early April or end of March to focus on this issue of planning, development planning, or to give time for them to answer every question that we have asked. Yeah, I agree that you can arrange for meetings. Chairman, you may be new, but please don't give them or the excuse that LegCo is dragging their feet. We do need to give them time to work on the answers. We understand the public has expectations for the authority, and LegCo would do our role. But we need to make sure that the authority give us clear answers and do not drag its feet on what they're supposed to do. And make sure that they are actually carrying out work in a cost-effective manner. So please arrange for them to come to meetings to give us answers, but not to give them excuse that we are dragging their feet. Yes, understood. So if there are no questions, please approve the working plan. And from now till our meeting on M+, meeting in end of April, can we have an extra meeting to discuss the issues, the outstanding issues today? So people wouldn't think that we are dragging or postponing the whole work of the authority. So is that okay with you? Helena Wong? Yes, I agree to have an extra meeting. But how about item 6 and 7? How come they are scheduled for early July? How come we're not having meetings in June? I propose that if you want to talk about financial arrangement, there can be a lengthy discussion. Should we not have a meeting in June and not make financial arrangement with another item in another meeting? Secretary, yes, for the proposed schedule under the working plan is actually arrived at by the chairman, vice chairman, and the authority. Yeah, Deputy Chairman, yes, I was at the working meeting myself to work out the schedule. We did ask for a meeting on item 6 earlier, but they said they had to do a lot of calculations. They need time to do the calculations so they can make them available till only till early July. So today, we've made our point clear today. And to ease our worries, I've told them that they can actually do their work on the basis of the 21.6 billion budget. I think we can have an extra meeting next time and at least try to get them to answer. Give them an answer next time.
Ms. Chen Yun-han. Chairman, I agree that we should have another meeting at the end of March. This is necessary. And I think we also need to study the criteria. I'm worried that by the time we have another discussion, the other competition will have been completed. All right, let's get the breakdown on the cost estimate of the Xiqu Centre. I think we need to tell them what the criteria should be, 10% or what. We do not want to repeat the experience of the Xiqu Centre. Now, can I ask the clerk to draw up a list of all the issues of concern raised by members, okay? So this list will be circulated among members. We'll spend 1 or 2 days studying it to make sure that it is exhaustive, and then the chairman can sign the letter and issue the letter to them. Yes, Mr. Ma Fong-kwok, I think we should have a discussion, Chairman, on whether we must abide by 1.81. In fact, I've raised this many times, but this issue can't be resolved at the authority level. All right. Okay, thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.